threatening them not to talk and fight in the background. So let's see how we go. No.
Bribery, chocolate works.
Yeah, well, funny you say that. I'm hiding the chocolate at the moment. It's my go-to. Yes, so I thought today we'd talk a little bit about, having the kids at home is a big thing at the moment for people. So it's new. It's not something most people have gone through. That stress of trying to sometimes work at home and now add kids in and add school on and all those sorts of fun things. So we'll talk a little bit about maybe the anxiety and stress of both the mum, the parents, and then the kids as well about what's going on. And also look at some routines and things to help us get kids in a place where those kids won't make, there's 4 of them back there and they'll be all okay. So, and that's just down to routines and practice and sticking at stuff even when you feel like pulling your hair out. What would you guys tell me? What would you like to hear about? Because, what's on your mind at the moment? And then we can go from there. Anxiety, teaching kids at home, routines.
I think for me, Lisa, it's routines, and we're still effectively in school holidays. We're in Victoria, and I created a bit of a schedule, sat down last week with my daughter. I've got a 9-year-old now at home, and we created a bit of a schedule about what our day or her day will look like, and then I'm trying to fit my work schedule around that as well. And I think yesterday was our first day. We started it loosely because we're still on school holidays, so I'm still not doing schoolwork. At the moment, she's sitting and colouring in, which is really nice, off the iPad. But yeah, I think she's enjoyed having a bit of routine in place as well.
Yes.
So what sort of suggestions have you got for how we can create those fun routines for people?
Yeah, I mean, I saw your routine actually. I think you posted it somewhere. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That was good. Routines, sometimes as adults, we feel like having structure and routine is restrictive. And I think a lot of that comes from school and growing up with maybe stricter parents than what we might be now, different types of parenting than what we have now. And so the thought of building a routine for your child can sometimes be a little bit like, do I feel comfortable with that? And so when I talk about routines and boundaries and stuff for kids, I call them big hugs, because if the kids know what to expect, they are much more open, I guess, to doing the things because they know what's going to come next. And then the boundaries side of things is the big hug, because if you give them a no every now and then, or a lot of the time, sometimes when there's 4 of them, there's no's all over the place. It's getting there. Their job is to push us. It's to give us that stretch of like, what can I get away with? That's part of them growing. So yes, we can let them do some things, and other times we need to be able to go, okay, no, you can't do that. Or when you get to this point, sometimes it's age or sometimes it's a growth thing, then they can do that. So as far as routines, when we're looking at, like at the moment, we're on school holidays. New South Wales have brought their holidays forward, so they're on holidays now. I'm not sure about the other states. And it's all up in the air, and it's all a little bit longer than what we're expecting and all that fun stuff. So what I would normally say is your kids are going to be the most calm, I guess, and capable of taking things in the morning. So if you need to work at home, then I would be scheduling and I do schedule my work time up until lunchtime. And then after that, in the afternoons, when they're starting to, like, all the energy's in there waiting to burn up. And so they start going a little crazier. And that's when we go outside, when we start doing things outside. So when we're doing routines, we can build out little blocks like breakfast. In the morning, maybe they're doing quiet things like art or building blocks or colouring in, building blocks. What else have we done? Puzzles. So just those quiet things they can do independently, so you can get that time to work, but it's also going to take them a period of time to complete. And then once we go into lunch, then we start looking at Lego is a good one actually as well. Origami. Then once after lunch, then we'll go into those things where they want a little bit more attention. It's really important to spend time with each child together or individually. So we'll do things like games out in the backyard when it's not raining, because we're in Ballarat, so it's raining a lot. chalk on things. So it can be chalk on footpaths and driveways and stuff like that, skipping and games outside. And then after dinner, not so much with the younger ones, she's normally going to bed by then, but after dinner with the older kids, we'll do games, board games, conversation games. We've got an online trivia thing that we used to do in person, and they've put it online now, so the people we play with are all over the country, but we can come back together and play that online. So the kids will do that with us as well. I'm here twice. Who's here twice? So yeah, anyway, I don't know if it's me. I don't think so. So yes, building that routine can really help. It can help structure you for the day so that you can get some work done, and it can help structure the kids so they can go. And I would put it on a chart, put it on the fridge, even put it in their rooms if you want to, so they know, okay, it's quiet time, and quiet time means Lego, building blocks, colouring in, reading a book, and have a list of things for them that they can, and if they're younger, little pictures that they can go to. And then after lunch, it's when we get to spend time with mum. And these are the things we can choose from. And I normally get each child to pick a different thing each day, or we might do a couple of things. We did dance parties last week. That was fun. That was my exercise.
I think letting them help set the routine helps as well, because then they've got some ownership over it. Yeah. The other thing, there is a question I'm going to circle back to in a minute, but one of the discussions we've had, obviously in Victoria, our Premier has come out this morning to say that, so I'm just muting, to say that we're effectively homeschooling or, e-learning next term for the whole term, which is I'm okay with. But it's also said parents, sorry.
Surprise!
Yes. I know, right? Some of us have already worked that out. But the comments that are coming through with some of my school mums is, what, now I've got to be teacher, and they've got to run a 6-hour classroom during the day as well. Now, Lisa, you also have a background in teaching. So what are some of your nuggets for helping us build into routine some of that teaching element, but not, us not having to be there for 6 hours a day telling them what to do?
Yes. Yeah. Look, this is huge. And I think even though I hadn't heard that they've said that, I was expecting it. And our school's already said that from prep up, they're going to be remote learning. So the first most important thing is, you're not homeschooling. This is not your job. No. You're not a teacher. It's not your thing. You have your own things that you need to do. You have your own work, your own businesses, everything else. So, and a lot of people will have younger children and stuff, and trying to manage the school around that and the stress of thinking I'm homeschooling it can be massive. So first of all, we want to just take that away from you. You're not homeschooling. When you choose to homeschool, you make a conscious choice that that's what you're going to do, and you put the effort and time into building a curriculum, building out the routines, building the blocks, doing assessment reporting, all the rest of that. You're not doing any of that. So take that stress off your mind. Your role is to be like a supervisor, I guess, of the remote learning. So your school will be guiding you through, depending on what age they are, will be different things. So I know our younger years, they're doing lesson videos that the kids can watch, and then they have to submit some work. As they get older, they'll be doing face-to-face. The year 11s and 12s are all face-to-face classes, face-to-face on video classes. So depending on what age group you're in, the school will guide you in that. They'll have a login. And normally, I know in New South Wales, they're doing that already at some schools. They have to be in and they have to roll call by 9 a.m. So as long as you've got them at that position, and I would say from maybe year 2 or 3 upwards, they can roll call themselves in. And then your job is purely to guide them through getting that work done. And when we go and we send them to school and they're taking 6 hours, that's because we have 30 kids in the class. We need break times. We've got to manage getting kids to and from here and there and around. Your learning time could be cut down to probably 3 hours during the day. So it's already half the time with no other distractions. So in that case, my goal, and we haven't started it yet here, but my plan is, even though I'm working in the morning, it's going to be the literacy and maths will be done in the morning, because that's when they can focus the most. And then in the afternoon, any extra lessons outside of that, the history, art, whatever else they send, I don't even know what they're sending us, then we'll tackle those after. And what that'll also allow is that he'll be able to sit there and watch the lesson, well, the older kids are pretty self-contained anyway, but the 9-year-old can sit and watch the lesson and then do the lesson while I'm still working, and he'll be doing that next to me. So, and he's the one that needs the most guidance. So, so I know those things will be okay. And we'll have things like a book. So if he's finished early, okay, we'll read now until mum's ready to do the next thing. So I would say if you can, try and get it in the morning, because by the afternoon they're going to be a little bit crazy and they want to do that more active stuff in the afternoon. If you can't and you have to do it in the afternoon because that's when your time is, do it in the afternoon. It's okay.
I think there was a collective sigh of relief when you said we're not teachers,
Yeah.
we're just supervising. And I think that's something we all need to remember.
Yes. The teachers are going to be there to guide you. You're not being left out on your own to manage your way through this. The teachers will be guiding. They'll have their curriculum. They'll have the lessons. Everything's planned out. You probably won't have to worry about assessments. Some schools might do that still. But your job is to be a supervisor. That's it.
Now, we've had a question that's related to staying connected with friends. And obviously I know for me, I've stayed connected with my networks and my friendships and really making an effort to do that. How do we help kids and encourage children to stay connected with their friends?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of in two sides about this. So again, it depends a little bit on the age. I feel like the younger ones, so our 4-year-old's kind of struggling with not being around friends as much because they're still quite tactile. Mm-hmm. And she's used to going up and being able to hug people and physically play with them. So what we've been doing for her is FaceTime. So she actually gets on FaceTime with one friend at a time, and they walk each other around the house and they talk about little things. And while it's not perfect, this is a short-term problem with a short-term solution, and it's working at the moment. 9-year-old does a lot of FaceTime, and then when he has a set time that he can do games on the computer, and so he's getting on with his friends at the same time. So he's interacting with them there as well as FaceTime. The teenagers are they're two different kettles. One likes to game, so he'll talk on games. The other one likes to talk to her friends, so she's FaceTiming, and they'll do group FaceTimes and all sorts of things, even like a Zoom. For us adults, Zoom is really good.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely. And I think Jacinta Ardern, who I'm falling in love with more and more, if you can ever fall in love with anyone more, had a psychologist come on and she was interviewing them. So she's been doing these chats with them, and the psychologist was saying, if you've got kids that just want to hermit and play games and stay connected with their friends on their computers in their rooms, then at this point in time, let them do it. They're not going to be destroyed by doing it. So I think that's...
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's absolutely. It's one of those situations where this is something we haven't been through before, something that hopefully is short-term, but even in the length of our life should be short-term. So, it's like when you first have your first baby and you're kind of winging it. And that's what we're doing. We're kind of winging it a little bit. We're doing as much best practice as we can, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is making sure we as mums are okay. And if that means my kids are sitting on, two of them are sitting on a computer right now doing some kind of game that I normally wouldn't let them do till the afternoon, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love that analogy because I'm feeling very much lost in that time when you first have your baby, and it's that time of being completely lost in the world, and that's how I'm feeling a little bit as I'm trying to get through this minefield of parenting and this particular space as well. Yeah. So trying to keep some routines and normality, but knowing it's different.
Yeah. And as a mum, you always want to do the best. So you're never going to feel like you've done enough, or it's good enough, or it's the best that you can do. But you need to also allow yourself that time of going, okay, you know what? It's good enough. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of it's good enough happening at the moment.
Absolutely.
So kids are safe. Kids are at home. Mm-hmm. Kids are healthy. Kids have school stuff coming to them eventually.
Yeah.
It build a little routine, but if all hell breaks loose at 10:30 in the morning, and you need to go outside and do jump rope instead of doing maths, then do it. I give you permission.
Yay, Lisa said
what works.
Yeah, and I think, and we're going to have instances of guilt coming in. There's already been parents that I've spoken to like, oh, my kid's spending too much time on the iPad, and I've said it as well. But when I talk to my mums in business cohort group that I have, it's like you've got to let go of that guilt. And I think right now we have to let go of anything that is that negative sort of stuff that's coming to play.
Yeah, definitely. And even letting go of the feeling like you have to do everything for them all the time. That's been huge, even for me, because I like to, oh, okay, how can I improve this? How can I improve this? How can I improve this? And sometimes it's just like, just let it go, Lisa. Like the 9-year-old, because we're in week 3 now of our Victorian holidays, the 9-year-old was on an iPad for the first 3 days, not all the time, but he was on there a little bit, and he started getting really angry. So when I noticed that sort of thing, I'm like, okay, screens are gone. And then but I have to be prepared, because I know that the next 2 days are going to be complete torture for me, because I'm bored, this is horrible, I hate it, there's nothing to do, blah, 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 blah. And then magically he becomes a nice kid, everything goes great, his imagination comes out. So, if it gets to a point where you feel like you need to remove them from a screen, then do that, but don't feel guilty when they're bored and cranky and all the rest of it. They'll get over it.
Absolutely.
Is that how long it takes for the effects of technology to get out of the system effectively?
I don't know study-wise, but I know for our son, he takes a good 24 to 48 hours. With the 14-year-old now, we took him off screens when he was about 12 as well for a while. It took him maybe, I'd say 4 days, but he came from, it's my stepson, so he'd come here with being able to do quite a lot of screen time, which wasn't the case here. So it took him about 4 days, and then he was saying, oh, it's really nice, like you guys talk to each other, and he was smiling and having eye contact with us again, and just little things that you forget, that you don't notice, and suddenly they're coming back. And so he was good.
Yeah. Can I ask a question around at the moment, I know I'm doing a lot of trying to keep positive about things, and I've blocked out a lot of news and things like that, and I'm surrounding myself with people who are trying to keep me positive. How do we help our kids at this time to stay positive? Because they're going through a lot of changes. They're being removed from friends and removed from their normal routines and stuff. How can we help our kids?
Yeah, so this is where sometimes that anxiety comes in with the kids, and it will come in different ways. So some will get angry, and some will become more reclusive, and some will fly off the handle, and some will start crying, and some will have angry, or even emotional outbursts of different ways. So just be conscious that there are a lot of changes for them. And when you are used to having a routine and a structure and that safety, and suddenly everything's changed, then it's really going to be normal for the kids to be going through a bit of a like, oh, what's going on stage, and having that fear, because if they are seeing any media, a lot of it's fear driven, like all the toilet paper disappearing, and now I can't go to the shops at all, and I can't go to school, and I'm not allowed to touch anything. I've got to wash my hands like crazy. There's so many changes going on for them. So there's actually, I'll send you the link. It's not our company, another company did an excellent lesson plan on understanding COVID-19 for kids. And they walk through the steps of, asking them the questions. Do you know? What do you know about it? How does it make you feel? And then it takes them through understanding it more, and how it's a virus, and we get viruses all the time. The only reason this is different is because there's no vaccine yet. And so we need to be careful, not just for us, but for other people. And all 4-year-olds are moody and angry, Michelle, don't worry. It's normal. And the things that we can do, the things that we're in control of, are washing our hands, staying clear of grandparents or people in the community that might be at risk. And then things will come back and it'll be okay. And then at the end, ask them how they feel. And you know, they'll be like, I feel better, I feel happy, I know that I can help people. So we had a few teachers actually teach that lesson to their class before we weren't allowed to have classes. And a couple of them said to me, like, that was one of the most memorable lessons I've ever taught. So it's I can give it to Rach and she can link it down. It's not anything to do with our company, but great lesson plan. I'm actually going to teach it live, I think. So then mums and kids can jump on, and that way I'll guide the lesson. This is exactly what remote learning is. I will guide the lesson, but you would sit there with them and just answer the paper with them. And it's good for the parent to understand as well. The only reason I could do it on my own, but the reason to have the parent there would be for the parent to understand. Oh, that's how they were feeling. Oh, okay. Now I understand why they're reacting that way. Okay. And then at the end, now they feel safe. And then you can remind them of the things that made them feel safe.
That's a brilliant thing. I know even for me, I did an exercise fairly early on in the time that we're going through, where it was that circle of control and what can I control. And I found, you know, when you start thinking about it, it's like, well, I was getting frustrated that, you know, government wasn't making a decision, but my control is that I can make a decision for my family. So, you know, it's like, as soon as you can look at, well, what have I got? What can control? Things become a lot more powerful to you. And I think it's the same with kids. If they know that they can still control something, it's going to help them.
Yeah, exactly. And some of that will come into that routine. What activities do I do? And where do I put them in the calendar? And that gives them some control back as well as the routine.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit crazy, the changes for them.
Yeah, and actually I haven't watched it yet, but there was a video Play School did talking about COVID-19 as well, which is obviously aimed at really little kids and to help them understand what was going on. So I think there's resources out there that we've got that we can, you know, help explain to our children at different age levels what's going on. And what they can do as well.
Jacinta Ardern, right at the very start, before everything went to lockdown, she did an interview with two scientist doctors, and one of them actually used a hand puppet and explained that it's got these trendles or whatever they're called, and so they stick to things, and then that's how they get into your body, and it's okay as long as you wash your hands and all the rest. It's really good, like perfect for 2, 3, 4-year-olds.
And even some adults.
I mean, I'm like, that's an okay, now I understand it more, and it's visual, which I love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, controlling, I just did want to say that, like, controlling what you can do is massive in anything in life. Like, that's a mindset thing, period, not just COVID-19. You know, like, I don't have the news on here, full stop. News is not on. In my news feed, here's a great one. So my screen time went up 17% in that first week we went into lockdown. I'm like, whoa, hang on. And on my Facebook, on my app, it changed the buttons at the bottom and news came up. And my husband's like, oh, I have news all the time. And I said, oh no, I've never had that. And then I saw the 17% notification. I went, oh, interesting. What's changed? I'm reading all that junk on there. Okay. So my control was, I'm not going to click on any of that stuff anymore. And so my time came back down, but it removed the news, and I got my groups back in the bottom settings. So
there you go. Yeah. It's very interesting. And we can sift through the information that we take in as well. What are some other tips? Have you got any other tips about keeping kids positive during this time?
Yeah, well, the most important one is, if you're positive, they're positive. So the most important thing you can do is something for you. And for me, I've been going for a walk every day for half an hour. I've done it since the start of the year. And I did go through a thing where I went, oh gosh, lockdown, am I going to be able to walk? Should I be leaving the kids? Can my husband handle it? Is he going to do it as well as me? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're pulling their hair out for that half an hour and everything's everywhere when I get back. I need that walk time, because that's my time to stop, think, breathe, enjoy the air, have no noise around me. So doing something for you is going to benefit your kids all of the time. So it doesn't have to be a walk. It can be having a bath or reading a book or going and sitting outside and having a cup of tea. Whatever it is that you need, then you do that. one thing I do actually, one thing I need is to have fun time with the kids. So like the dance parties, I'm laughing like, oh yeah, the kids pick the dance parties. I love it. I'm there dancing with them and carrying on like a pork chop. It's great. That's one of the things I enjoy. So it helps me, and then it helps them as well.
Absolutely. And we talked last week about self-care and the fact that it doesn't have to be, I think even before COVID-19, we would fall into the trap that self-care had to be a day at the spa, or it had to be a weekend away with the girls, or it had to be something big, whereas self-care is actually a daily practice, and it's 10-20 minutes of your day where you're going, I'm just going to do it for me. Whether you go for a walk, if you've got kids about to oh no I'll keep talking, whether it's you go for a walk or whether you do something for yourself, it's just that small time where you go time out, and especially now that everybody's in our house, it's more important.
Absolutely. Because if you stay there as the mum, they're going to get you to do everything comes back to you, and everything you could possibly feel guilty about, you're going to feel guilty about. So take the time away. No guilt allowed. As I said, it's enjoyment time. I was just bringing that out. It's the March one, but I was doing the same thing, and I will put everything else first before myself. And this year I said, okay, I'm not doing that anymore, because I have a lot of places I need to give to, and to do that I need to be in the right place. So I'm visual, as I said before, and for me, like having an app or something to track things wasn't working. So I went to Etsy, I printed out a habit tracker that looked pretty, and each week I add a new habit, and that becomes part of my self-care. So it's like the walking for 30 minutes. I've got only drinking water or tea, because I'm starting to get a little addicted to Diet Coke again. Be in bed before 9:30, stop snacking after dinner, floss my teeth, like little teeny tiny things, but I was attaching them to things. So when I brush my teeth at night, now I'm going to floss my teeth as well. And then I can colour in the square. Win. Tiny little bit of self-care. And win.
That's so you.
I know, not everyone's like that. Some people will be happy with an app or just knowing that they've done it. And another thing to be able to go, let me find, because that one's not showing it as well, but I think February. Well, I was only just starting because it was the start of the year. Look at all those white gaps. Like there were white gaps everywhere. And that was okay. Like it was okay. And so that was a big thing too, because sometimes we go and we're like all in, got to do everything, has to be done perfectly, and I have to do it every single day, otherwise I'm a failure. And that's not the case. Like failure's learning. It's just learning. So learning that, okay, I had a few days there where I was eating too much chocolate, or I drank too much Diet Coke. All right, so step that up, change that today, just today.
Yeah. There's those little habits. Look, I think that I hope everyone else has had a great conversation or chat listening to what you've said to us today. I know that we've got to go easy on ourselves. We've got to be guided by teachers in school, in e-learning, school learning, distance learning, whatever you want to call it. Sorry.
I just want one more thing on that school thing. Another thing I'm hearing is my kids are going to get behind, and I just want to comment on that. Your kids will not fall behind. First of all, they're doing some learning anyway. They're 80% of what they learn, they're going to learn irrespective of any situation. So don't worry about that. And if they fall behind, every single kid in the world's fallen behind, because we're all in the same boat. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, great point. And I think we need to let go of the guilt. We need to just be present with our kids at the moment, and we need to look after ourselves, because if we fail, everything else in our house is going to fail. So there are take homes for the chat today, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us on our Time Out for Mum call today. The call is back next week, 11:30 on Tuesday. It's all in either the Facebook group, or if you're joining us from the Rural Woman within their community on their events as well. I do have another speaker locked in for next week, and I can't remember who it is, and I can't open the document because my computer, we've got too much internet going on in the house. It's not working. So I will post that up in the Facebook group and also on the Rural Woman group. Thank you everyone for joining us today. May you go out and have an absolutely wonderful day and go and do something for yourself. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for
And
coming,
thanks,
everyone.
Lisa.
Thank you. Go do something for yourself right now.